Hey, you. If you're new, welcome. I'm Kristen, and I'm about to show you all the meals that we're going to be cooking up for this week. To make up the pasta, I went ahead and added the Knorr's chicken bouillon to season up my water, and then I threw in my pasta. Now, you don't have to use these spiral noodles if that's not the one that you prefer, but for me, it just really tastes the best with this particular salad. You want to cook up your pasta according to whatever it says on that box because different pastas have different types of cooking times. So just check your box and see how long. When you're cutting up your bell pepper, you want to cut it up according to whatever size of a bite that you want. So for me, whenever I'm making pasta salad, I like for my bites to be a little bit smaller. But you can cut yours up however you like. It's not going to change anything with it. It's just your personal preference and how you like your bites. I ordered my groceries, so I didn't get to pick, but had there been an orange one in my package, I definitely would have threw it in. I cut my grape tomatoes in half. It's just a personal preference. You don't have to peel your skin, but just for me, I prefer my skin off of my cucumbers, and I also prefer the English cucumber over the regular cucumber. It digests differently. I'm not really sure why, but it definitely makes a difference in my digestion. When you chop it up, you just want to chop it up according to whatever size of a bite that you want. Now, for me, this is the easiest way that I have found to chop it up, but if you have a different way, go on and just chop it up. With the onion, you can use a sweet onion and it's going to taste good too. I just am really on a red onion kick right now, and I prefer red onion in almost everything. If you take your red onion and put it down into an ice bath for about 15-20 minutes or so, it really does help to take some of that bite that a red onion can have. It'll take it out. I didn't do it here and I really wish I had, but it still turned out good. Once you have everything cooked up and chopped up, you want to mix everything together and then we're going to go in with the flavor. Now, I should have mixed this up before I poured everything in because it required extra mixing, but you can do it this way too and it's still going to be okay. It just is better if you would have done it in a bowl and put the oil into a bowl and then poured all that mixture over onto your little salad here. But I mean, it was still good. To get this meal started, you want to go ahead and get your sausage chopped up. Now, I like to cut mine into little bites, but if you like to cut yours into the circles, go on and cut it up the way you like to eat it. I just like little bites in my red beans and rice. I used a sweet onion, but I'm sure you could use a yellow onion or even a red onion. I chose a sweet onion and I diced it up into little bites, but if you like bigger bites, chop it up how you like it. I gotta tell y'all about this bell pepper right here. Now, when I was holding it, the thing felt like it was normal, but when I chopped that thing up and felt it, that thing was disgusting. It felt gross, it felt slimy, and you can see how it pulled away right there. I mean, it's just, that was disgusting. Has anybody else been having that going on? So I had to start over with another bell pepper and chop that thing up. I chopped mine up into dices so that it matched my bites that I had already chopped up. To get this cooked up, I went ahead and oiled up the pan, tossed in the meat. Now, I did cook the meat up for about 10 minutes over medium heat before I tossed in the vegetables. Once you get them things looking how you want to, go on and toss in your vegetables. You want to cook them up for about another 10 minutes or so until they start getting a little bit soft. And then we're going to toss in our red beans and rice. I season mine up with some onion powder, garlic powder, and Tony seasoning. To make this easy red beans and rice amp up in flavor, you could always use the andouille sausage, and it's really going to bring in a little bit more flavor. Once you have all of your meat and vegetables cooked up how you want it, then go on and toss in your can of red beans and rice. Now, you want to do this over a medium heat so that you don't scorch it, but go on and get that thing tossed in and let it warm up for about 10 minutes. I simmered mine on low because I like for mine to have a little bit of that juice, but if you don't like that much juice, go on and turn up that heat. To get this meal started, I went ahead and chopped up a sweet onion into little dices. Now, you don't have to use a sweet onion. You can use whatever onion that you like. I just like the sweet onion, and you can also chop it in whatever kind of a size of a bite that you want. I browned up some ground beef, but this is honestly better with ground turkey. So if you like ground turkey, I would brown up some ground turkey. Now, I seasoned mine up with some onion powder and some garlic powder and browned it up all the way through until it was cooked. Once it's browned up, you want to go on and drain off that grease and then add it back to the pan. I tried something different this time and used the super blend of vegetable mix. It does not taste the same as cutting up a whole cabbage and putting in your own carrots, but it was a very easy, quick way of making it, and I would do it again. Now, you want to add you some soy sauce, but add how much you like. Some people like a lot, and some people don't like a lot at all, but it does add flavor that it's going to need. You want to cook it into it for about 5 minutes and give it a good stir. I just made me a little hole right there in the middle and tossed in my minced garlic and the ginger. Now, I should have added more ginger, but I was afraid to overpower my dish because ginger is a very strong ingredient, so you have to be a little careful, but it was definitely needing a little bit more, and next time I will definitely be adding it. Now, I just give mine a good toss after I've let that ginger and minced garlic kind of warm up and let it all kind of marry together for about a good 5 to 10 minutes, and then we're going to go in and hit it with the sesame seed oil. Sesame seed oil is a finishing oil, so you want to add it in last, but I'm telling you, it is the main ingredient. You have to have this in order to get the flavor, because without it, it just does not taste the same. My last bit of flavor that I brought in was topping it off with some of them green onions. To get this meal started off, you want to go in with some chopped onion, throw it down into the pan, and then add in your ham. Now, I prefer the low and slow method, and you do not want to cook this ham on high because the ham is already cooked. All you're doing is warming it up. But you definitely need to cook them onions, so I cook mine for a few minutes before I throw in my ham, and then I toss in my seasonings. Now, onion powder tastes good on everything, so you know I'm going to add that black pepper and that Tony seasoning. You want to cook it up for about maybe 5 to 10 minutes and then go on and take it out the pan. If you're going to use a jar sauce, then you're going to skip this step right here. But I'm making some at-home cheese sauce. So we're going to make a roux to begin with. I added 4 tablespoons of butter. You want to get that all the way melted down, and then we're going to go in and add the flour. To make a roux, you're going to go in with 1 tablespoon of butter per 1 tablespoon of flour. Now, I don't measure anything. I eyeball it all. I'm mostly looking at the consistency of that butter. I don't want it to be runny. I want it to be more like a paste. So I add enough flour until it looks the way I want it to look. You cook it out just for a few minutes to get rid of that floury taste, and then you want to go in with the milk. Now, the milk, definitely want to go slow. You don't want to just throw in all your milk and whip it up. You definitely have to blend it into it, and then once you get it all blended up, you can add in as much milk as you want. This is a lot of wrist work, but once you get this part right here blended out, then there ain't nothing to it. It just takes a little bit of time, and it's definitely better than the jar sauce, but if you need a jar sauce, go on and get it. Once you get it all mixed up and enough milk in it for your liking, then you want to go in and add your cheese. Now, I just added a triple cheddar cheese because that's what I had, but if you want to spice up your dish a little bit, then go on and throw you in one of them spicy cheeses. I threw in a couple of handfuls of cheese and got it all stirred up. Now, you're about to work your wrist again because you got to get that cheese melted all the way into that roux sauce. If your cheese sauce starts getting a little thick on you, you can go in and add you some milk. Now, you definitely want to go in and add that slowly because if you add too much, then you're going to end up with some runny cheese sauce. To cook up the pasta, I went in and put some Knorr's chicken bouillon down into my boiling water, threw in my pasta, and cooked it up how it said on the box. You can throw in whatever kind of pasta that you like, but this one goes pretty good down in this dish. Y'all, I totally forgot to hit record, but I went ahead and got my broccoli steamed in the microwave, tossed everything back into my cheese sauce, and seasoned it up with some Tony seasoning, some onion powder, and some all-purpose. Mix that thing up, and dinner is done, baby. To get these greens started, I went ahead and tossed me in some turkey bacon into the pan, lightly warmed it up, and then took it out and put me in some fresh seasoning. Now, if you want to know how to make my fresh seasoning, all you have to do is click the link down in the description. You can view it for free over on my Patreon. Collards require a really big pan to cook them in, but if you don't have a big enough pan, then you can do like I did and work them into the pan. Now, I added about half the bag with an entire carton of chicken broth, and once it wilted down some, I went in and tossed in some more of them greens. I got mine cooking on about medium heat so that I could get them wilted down and then start adding in some flavor. I put some of this Lowry's steak and chop marinade over my chops, marinated them overnight, and threw them on the grill. I also took my baked potato and wrapped it up in some foil. You know, if you've seen any of my videos, poke some holes in that thing, throw some seasoning on it, and put it on the grill. Jumping back over to the greens, now you want to go on and make sure you're tossing them around as it's cooking and wilting down so that you can get the bottom up to the top and get the top down to the bottom. Once you get them wilted down, then you want to go in and toss back in your turkey bacon, and then you want to start adding in your seasonings. Now, I added onion powder, garlic powder, paprika, salt, and then I also added in a little bit of that brown sugar. Now, the brown sugar is what helps to curb the bitterness. And you also want to add in some pepperoni juice. Now, if you don't have pepperoni juice, then you can use vinegar, but this pepperoni juice is a good replacement for vinegar. Get everything down into there and start getting it all mixed up. I threw some of this steak and chop seasoning and some Tony seasoning on them pork chops. To season up the beans, I went ahead and started with some boiling water and threw in the chicken bouillon by Knorr's. That stuff, I'm telling you, it is some great flavor in some water. So if you haven't tried that, you ought to try it. Now, I went ahead and threw in the beans and then threw in my diced onion and seasoned it up with some onion powder and some garlic powder. I tossed in just a little bit of some salt and put in some of that all-purpose seasoning. I used canned field peas and snaps, but if you want to use some from the freezer, I'm telling you it's going to be just as good. With the freezer one, you got to cook it just a little bit longer. Now, with the canned beans, what I do is I bring mine up to a boil and I turn that thing off and let it sit while everything else is cooking. And they come out, the onions come out just perfect. If you like your onions to be a little bit more done, then you might want to simmer yours on low for about 10 to 15 minutes. But for me, I like for my onions to still have a little bit of a bite. I barbecued up my pork chops with some of that Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce, but you can pick whichever one you like the best and throw that thing on there. With the greens, you want to make sure that you're tossing them around while they're cooking. Now, I cooked mine for about an hour on a simmer, but you want to make sure you bring it up to a boil before you simmer it. Make sure you taste test it and see what does it need. If it don't need nothing, then bam, baby, that dinner is done. Is that not absolutely beautiful? I said, oh my goodness, I got to turn around. I got to record this because they got to see it. It is so beautiful. Oh my goodness. If you need help with your meal planning needs, look here. All you got to do is go over to my Patreon and get your download. You can get the meal plan and the grocery list. It's all there for you. The link is down in the description. Y'all have a good rest of your week, and I will see you next week.